Hi, my name is Kevin Fernandez, and welcome to my channel, Gamer's Genie. Today, we're going to learn the marvelous, action-packed game, Marvel Legendary, inspired by Marvel Comics. This 1 to 5 player game, designed by Devin Lowe and published by Upper Deck Entertainment. Play as legendary Marvel heroes, such as the Avengers and X-Men, to defeat evil masterminds like Magneto, Loki, Doctor Doom, and the Red Skull to be victorious. Now let's go to the table and learn to play Marvel Legendary. Give each player their own personal 12-card deck made of 8 SHIELD agents and 4 SHIELD troopers. Put these stacks of cards face up on their spaces on the board. 30 SHIELD officers, 30 wounds, and 30 bystanders. Pick one mastermind at random. Put the mastermind face up on the mastermind space on the board. Take the 4 mastermind tactics cards that match the mastermind you select them and place them underneath the mastermind face down in random order. Pick one scheme card at random and put it face up on the scheme space on the board. Each scheme has a setup section. Follow the setup instructions for that scheme. A scheme card setup section always tells you how many scheme twist cards to put into the villain deck. Put that many scheme twist cards into the villain deck. Some schemes have unique special rules. So for our game, we need 8 scheme twists. Add 5 Master Strike cards to the villain deck. Now add villain groups to the villain deck. A villain group is a group of 8 villain cards that work together like Hydra or Skrulls. Each villain card lists its villain group under its card name. The more players you have in the game, the more villain groups are shown on this table. For our game, we're going to use the villain group, the Masters of Evil. Each mastermind says that the mastermind always leads a particular villain group. Be sure to include that group as one of the groups to add to your villain deck. Put the other villain groups at random. So for our game, because we're using Loki, we're going to use the Enemies of Asgard for our villain deck. Pick a henchman group to add to the villain deck. Henchman groups are 10 cards of lesser villains. For our game, we're going to use the Savage Land Mutants for our henchmen. Check the table in the center of the board to see how many bystanders to add to the villain deck from the bystander stack. So for our 2-player game, we need 2 bystanders. And so we're going to take our 2 bystanders and we're going to add them to our villain deck. Leave the rest in the bystander stack. There are 15 different heroes in the game. There are 14 cards for each hero. Make the hero deck this way. Pick 5 heroes at random. For each of those heroes, add all 14 cards for that hero to the hero deck. That's 70 cards total. If you are playing with 5 players, add a 6th hero. So for our game, we're going to be using Black Widow, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. And that completes the setup. Okay. Be sure to shuffle the hero deck thoroughly and place it here in the hero deck spot. And do the same thing with the villain deck and place it here in the villain deck section. Shuffle your player deck and draw 6 cards. From it. Then shuffle and draw 5 cards, hero cards, into the HQ. On your turn, you will do 3 things. Number 1, play the top card of the villain deck. Play cards from your hand, using them to recruit and fight. And last but not least, discard your hand and draw 6 new cards. Move a villain card from the villain deck to the first space in the city. They always enter in the sewers. Each player's turn, you must draw from the villain deck, and for every villain card you get, including henchmen, you move them down until you get all these spaces are filled up. If you get one more villain while every city space is taken up, one of your villains escapes, and that could be bad for the heroes. Villain cards have 3 possible abilities. Number 1 is ambush. This happens as soon as you play a villain. Number 2 is fight. This activates as soon as you fight a villain. And number 3 is escape. This happens when a villain escapes the city. So, for example, you may recognize this villain. This is the Enchantress, and she has a fight ability. And if you fight her, you get to draw a new card. Not that bad, huh? This is Ymir. He has an ambush ability that every ranged hero has to, for every ranged hero a player has, they gain a wound. Spoke too soon. And there's Ultron. If he escapes, then each player with a tech hero gains a wound. So like I said, it can be terrible. If an innocent bystander is captured, then you place it to the nearest villain to the villain deck. So, for example, the Enchantress would capture this bystander. However, if there were no villains in the space, then the Mastermind captures the bystander. Don't worry, if you beat one of the 4 tactics cards that he has on there, then you instantly rescue the bystander and put him in your victory pile. Scheme twists are also cards that you might draw in the villain deck. This means that the Mastermind scheme has been activated. If this happens, read what happens immediately and take its effect to heart. If you get all of the scheme twists in the villain deck, then the villains win and the heroes lose. While you're playing the game, you might also draw from the villain deck a Master Strike. This represents the Mastermind coming down and dealing with the heroes himself. Loki's Master Strike ability is every player needs to reveal a super strength character or they gain a wound. And that is awful. You can use the cards in your hand to fight and recruit. So, by playing your cards in your hand in any order. So I'll play my Shield Agent, and I can also play my Shield Trooper. The Trooper, this symbol will show that I can deal this many hits to a villain or the Mastermind. So I have 1 hit of damage towards them. Now, these 3 are 6, this guy's 10. I can't really do anything. But if you had enough recruit, so for example, if I played all 4 of my Shield Agents, that's 4, which means I can recruit this Thor card and put it in my discard pile. And then, once your turn is done, you discard the rest of your hand and draw 6 new cards. Shuffle it up and draw 6 new cards. Remember, once you've recruited a hero, you must always replace it with the new hero from the hero deck. Oh, Thor. Perfect. So, next is our hero's abilities. Now, a lot of heroes have special superpowers because, of course, what's a hero without a superpower? This just usually means you have to play a card with a team or a class. For example, this Hulk is super strength, and he needs another super strength character to be played before him in order for this to activate. All these cards are Avengers, and some of them will say you need an Avengers card to be played before that, and that's just this A symbol right here. You use attack to fight any number of villains in the city one at a time. It doesn't matter which city space holds the villain. Spend attack equal to that villain's attack to defeat it, and place it in your victory pile. Then have the remaining attack value available to attack another villain. So, for example, I could use my newly obtained Thor card to try to beat this. And if I had 8 or more, he'd get 3. And then eventually I could get 6, and I could take Ultron, beat him up, and place him in my victory pile. Just like the villains and the henchmen, if you get enough attack to hit the mastermind, you can hit him really hard. So you would need 10 attack to hit Loki once. If you hit the mastermind, you take one of the tactics, read the fight effect, and have that take effect. Once that's done, you place them in your victory pile. Players win the game when they have hit the mastermind 4 times. However, if you feel like it's still a little uneven, you can try to hit this main card and get him 5 times. But that's only if all players agree upon it. And that's all you need to know to play Marvel Legendary. If you have any questions about this game, please put them in the comments below, and be on the lookout for our upcoming gameplay video on this game. And I will also put a link for the unboxing video for X-Men Legendary. But until then, thanks for the views.